This is Left at the Door, a podcast and vlog where we, a group of friends, get together to talk about people, the experiences, and thought patterns that we have left at the door in order to love, grow, succeed, or survive. This is Left at the Door.
We're here today with Erica Carter, who is a friend of Cassie and I. She's a local photographer, and she's going to talk to us today about what she has left at the door.
Erica, this is probably, I know there's a lot of things that circle through your head, but do you think that there's one thing that you're trying to leave at the door or that you feel like you have left at the door?
One of the things that I'm trying to leave at the door, keyword there, trying, is control. So I have always been a control freak, and I'm doing better at living more intentionally and leaving control at the door and just making a better effort at being the best person that I can be by not trying to control so much and see how I can accomplish that.
Mm-hmm. I think most people that know you would agree that you're a very positive person. You're always a light.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. And so looking from the outside, it doesn't seem to us like this is something you struggle with. You seem like it's pretty natural for you to stay upbeat and live in the moment. And everything you share and say is always so inspirational. And you guys should be friends with her on Facebook.
I know.
It's
true.
nothing but
Right.
good stuff.
It is.
It really, it's just...
It's like your morning motivation. I always know that's going to be one of the first feeds that I see whenever I hop on. And I know they tell you when you first wake up, don't get on your phone.
But we all do it.
But we all do. And yours is always one of the first ones that pops up there.
And it's always good.
It is. It's quotes, it's thoughts, it's always good stuff. But so then with you leaving control at the door, is it because there was a singular moment or was there multiple moments? How did you get to this point?
Great question. Mm-hmm. So, obviously with the pandemic and last year one of my best friends was diagnosed with breast cancer. And at our age, that's a really hard pill to swallow for not only me to watch a friend go through that, but to kind of wrap your brain around that could be any of us. Mm-hmm. And then, the pandemic changes everything for everybody. And we've all struggled with how to cope with losing family members or changing how your work goes. And as a photographer, I lost a lot of work last year and wasn't able to, connect with my clients or have photo shoots that we had looked forward to. And I learned that if I leave control a little bit to the side, that it doesn't consume me as much. And so I'm able to focus on other things, in all honesty. My brother's been really sick for the past 6 months. And then also one of my best friends, her mom just got diagnosed with cancer. So I've struggled a lot with not being able to fix things for people. And I've always been a fixer, always. Since I can remember, I was friends with the kids who didn't have much or were rotten, and I thought that I could fix it for everybody. And so with trying to leave control at the door, I have to teach myself that I can't fix everything and I can't control other people and other people's situations. And so I try really hard with my comments and my posts and my quotes and my pictures and all that to give people something to make them happy. If I could quit my job and do anything, I would just go around and make people happy. Mm-hmm. That sounds so dumb, but
no, it doesn't.
Really, my favorite thing to do, and this is dumb, is at McDonald's when I'm in front of somebody and somebody pulls in and you can either tell they're in a hurry or don't want to be there, and I'll buy their dinner or their breakfast or whatever it is. And not only do I hope that it starts their day better, but it always starts my day better. And it's funny because my kids, when we go to McDonald's now, it's not every day. And I don't do it every time I'm at McDonald's. I'd be broke if I did. Let's be real. I have kids. But they'll be like, hey, Mom, let's pay for the people behind us today. Mm-hmm. And so I know I'm doing something right if the kids are catching on. And, hey, we got to all do our part on making the world a little bit better.
It's kind of karma in a lot of ways because
absolutely.
You think to yourself, you know what, if I can maybe just lighten this person's load, even if it's a cup of coffee or an Egg McMuffin, maybe they will then pass it on and it will be something that maybe it spreads like wildfire,
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and even if it doesn't trigger a, domino effect of random acts of kindness, what you're doing is giving them the gift of awareness. Mm-hmm. And now they're not just trudging now they're thinking about the person in the car in front of them and the person in the car behind them. And I think if we all do that a little bit more,
Absolutely.
then it does become a little easier to not focus on all the things that are completely out of our control.
Absolutely.
And with sickness, things like that, talking to 2 other control people and 2 other fixers.
A little bit.
Fixer is definitely a word I would use to describe myself,
Yeah.
to describe Cassie. Those are some of the toughest things, is knowing that someone else's health is just, it's completely out of your realm of control and anything that you can influence.
I think that you brought up a really good point when you talked about you have all these things that were like coming at you, like the pandemic, friends being sick, your brother's being sick, all these different pieces, and putting things in perspective. Because, you know, last year when you were talking about your friend with breast cancer that, you know, we went to high school with, like my mom got diagnosed the same time. And so the 2 of them have become, you know, talk back and forth and things like that. And I think that in a lot of ways it put perspective even for my mom to think about, you know, here she is in her 60s and she has lived a whole lot more life than, you know, than being, you know, 37 years old and having that diagnosis. But ultimately, when we think about all of that, it's like the serenity prayer. I feel like in a lot of ways, it's like accepting these things that we can't change. And that is not easy at all. It doesn't matter what your personality type is. Like, to just be able to be like, this is out of my hands. That's got to be overwhelming. And so I guess that's what I would ask you is like, is there something that you do or ways that you try, whether it's, you know, mantras, whether it's, you know, is there things that you do that basically kind of help you to, let go of the control?
So whenever I'm looking typically for like a quote in the morning, sometimes it's for other people, but then there's sometimes it's for me. And like, you never know. It might be me, it might be for you, it might be for the next person, but I know if I need to hear it, somebody else needs to hear it. The other thing that we've done really good at this year so far, my family, is when I say that we're trying to live more intentionally, I like a great weekend where we lay on the couch and do nothing. But I also love a good weekend where you take a trip and you go visit friends that you haven't seen in 3 years. And we've done that a lot this year. Like every weekend we've done something. And if we can focus and spend our time on doing things that fill our cup, it takes away I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it takes away the cloud of all the things that you can't control and makes life seem a little bit less daunting, a little bit less consuming.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yeah, we've done a lot more playing outside, seeing if we can cover the whole driveway in chalk.
Boy.
Made friends with some of the trees in the neighborhood. And it's stuff that we met our neighbors. None of that would have happened if it hadn't been for the pandemic. And I think when your world gets so small, you really start paying a lot more attention to what's in there. And you get rid of the stuff that you don't want around.
Absolutely.
And you get to be a lot more selective about what you're exposing yourself to.
I agree completely.
So you talked a little bit, Erica, about, you know, the photography side of things. And is that something because it started off as a passion, or did you know you wanted it for a career? How does that work, and how does it tie into like the self-help, I guess, in a way?
Photography was my mom's passion. And when we were in high school, I know you guys will remember this, one of our classmates lost a brother. And his mom walked up to my mom at the visitation and said, if it weren't for your pictures, I wouldn't have anything left. And it was at that point that I knew she had impacted her, but so many other people. And I thought, I want to do that. And ever since then, it's just been something that I know. And it like I can capture moments for people that never go away. Like I don't have control over my friend getting cancer, or my best friend's mom having cancer, or my brother being sick, or we just lost Jay's uncle, all of these things. But if we can capture pictures and have those pictures long after all of these trials and tribulations are here, then we still have something to remember and something to grasp onto. So I work full time, so photography is more of a passion than it is a job. And so with that, I can pick and choose a little bit more of what I want to do and so being able to put beauty on paper and capturing people in pictures and then giving people memories to keep forever it's just awesome.
Yeah. Well, I think that you ultimately said, you're like, if I could just make people smile, and it's not every day that somebody says, this is what how I fill my cup. This is what I need to do in order to like feel like my authentic self. But then to find a passion that truly actually allows you to do that is pretty rare. So I feel like it has to be a really good feeling to see all these different stages of life too. Because I feel like you probably start off with like one stage, then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're doing babies and you're like, time out, I took your pictures and now you're a senior in high school.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and like just in my family, she has seen my children as babies. She's taken pictures of me pregnant. She's done boudoir pictures. She was in the delivery room when Jimmy was born.
Not fun.
No. 0 stars.
Rewind. I'm a fixer. I couldn't fix it. Like, I wanted to make her feel better. It was awful.
It was...
amazing. Awful.
I know. She was a trooper. I mean, you want to talk about dedication to her craft. This woman, Erica, is in the hospital. You got there at, like 9 p.m. or something. She had done photo shoots all day. She drives to Decatur.
I kind of remember this.
She's wonderful.
I texted her and I was like, oh my God, I'm in labor. She's like, oh, don't have the baby yet because I have to take all these pictures.
I can't get there yet.
No, I got to take these pictures. And I was like, hey, still haven't had the baby. And she's like, great, I'm coming over. So she got there at like 9. Jimmy was born at 6:15 a.m. So she is right next to Dustin in those horrible hospital chairs while my epidural is in and out. And I am just not a fan of pain. So
it's the best version of yourself.
Lots
basically,
of screaming.
Is what you're saying.
Yes. Me at peak performance.
And
then
her sitting here being like, I want to make you smile. And you're like, I just want to feel no pain.
Get the fuck away from me, everyone.
There was no smiles.
There was no smiles. And then
except from me.
She takes these pictures of my beautiful new child and then goes to work.
I had to be at work at 7:30.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Erica, But
that wasn't you being a martyr. No. That is who you are as a human being. We can all attest to this. Yeah.
Yeah. We're lucky. We're lucky to still be friends with you after high school. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. See? So let me talk to you about the different types of photography you do. Because I want to talk about this because we bring things up on this podcast that sometimes are swept under the rug, that seem taboo, that are like, oh, we don't talk about that, or it's so against social norms. But Jess, you brought it up too about the boudoir pictures. And there's so many people that are like, nope. I would never do that. I couldn't do that.
I'm modest.
I'm sure you've heard it all.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but how do you get that conversation started when somebody does and you start talking to them about it? How does it go, and how do you get them to the point that it's about trust ultimately?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Trust is a great word, but boudoir is awesome. Like, it's one of my favorites. You take a woman that, like, I can see their beauty and and other people see it every day, but they don't see it in themselves. So you have to take that opportunity to show them what you see. And it's not, a lot of people think that boudoir is for a significant other, but in all honesty, for me, or for a lot of people that I've photographed, it's for making them feel beautiful and showing them how beautiful they are. And it just gives me the goosebumps just thinking about it. I can't, I really, when I say I want to make people happy, like, it's one of my favorite ways to make people happy and make them see how absolutely incredible and beautiful they really are. I mean, we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'm not here to take a picture of you and then soften every little nook and cranny so that you don't look like yourself. No, I want to capture your beauty from the inside and the outside. And it's my favorite.
I feel so lucky to have been there for so many of those moments where Erica turns the camera around to show someone a picture she just took, and you just see this brilliance wash over them. They're like, oh my God, that's me. And I can see why that would be addictive to want to do that for
absolutely.
people.
We live in a society that, and that's coming from me in marketing, that people basically market to where it's like you make money off of not liking yourself, to where it's like you need more face stuff, you need more this, you need more therapy, you need more clothes, you need more everything. And it's, in a lot of ways, you're just kind of stripping everything down, literally and figuratively, to be like, who are you really? And can you get to that point to actually love yourself? And maybe it's not even love. Can you get to the point that you accept yourself, that this is where I'm at in this stage? And that is not an easy thing for people to do at all.
There's something magical about watching a woman, specifically with boudoir, walk out with whatever she's going to be photographed in. She has a bathrobe over her. She's very much like shrinking into herself. And then by the time that shoot is over, she is marching around proudly in her birthday suit and is very comfortable with, like, this is what my body looks like. Yeah. I took a selfie after I got my hair dyed blue, and I posted it on Facebook, and my sister who had done my hair messaged me and said, wow, it looks really good, and you styled it really well. And she said, and I like that you can see the texture of your skin, because you look beautiful, but you don't look perfect. And someone else can look at that and say, wow, she has wrinkles, and you can see her pores, and her skin has texture, and she's beautiful.
Absolutely.
And you are definitely gifted at bringing that out and showcasing that for people.
Another piece to this that Jesse brought up is that some people do it completely naked. Some people wear lingerie. I think you maybe speak to that, because there's a lot of misconception. So some people are like, I will never be comfortable being naked in front of a random stranger.
Yeah, what does the experience from start to finish look like?
Well, we don't always go in with the intention that they're going to be nude. I mean, actually, most of them don't. Like, most of them come in saying, there's no way you're going to get me naked. It's not going to happen. And our first shoot, we had 10 girls, and at the end of the night, every single one of them had gone completely nude, and it just by chance, like,
and in front of each other.
And it was because from start to finish, we created a relationship with each other, and we all trusted each other, and we were all there to support each other and to lift each other up and to make each other feel as beautiful as they really were. It's very cool to watch the progression of someone from the minute they walk in, no hair, no makeup, in their clothes, mostly they're just like oversized clothes, to the very end of their session where they're nude or posing in ways that they never thought, just because they feel different. Like, they feel good, they feel beautiful, and I just can't. I mean, it's so neat to see that and watch these women change, like, in just right in front of my eyes. And
it's every stage. I think that's the other thing that we have to bring up, is that sometimes there's the misconception that it's like, oh, well, you only do that when you're like in your 20s, like, or you do that as like, and I know some people, there is so many different stories behind it. Like, some people do it for maybe their spouse, for a gift. But you are right. It's not just for somebody else. And so I think the misconception is that it's for somebody else, and that it's, oh, I'm too old, or I'm not at that stage in my life, or whatever the case is. But you've seen it all.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of times the biggest one you'll hear is, oh, I'm just too fat for that.
When I lose 10 pounds.
I hate that. I hate it. Like, you are, even whether it's boudoir or it's regular pictures, this is how you are at this point in your life. Yeah. There is going to come a day where you're going to look back and say, I wish I would have. Yeah. Or I wish I would have just taken the picture, or I wish I would have, accepted myself at that point. And I can't tell people enough that if you can't accept yourself, you can't portray to other people, and other people can't love you if you don't love yourself. So,
you know what it also reminds me of is that when you look back at pictures from years past,
I wish I was that fat.
Yes.
I wish I was as fat as I thought I was back then.
It's so true. Or you find the pair of jeans, or you find the dress that you're like, I wore this and I didn't love myself in it, and I had such a horrible misconception of who I was, and body dysmorphia, and now I can't even get those pants on. Like,
and I don't know about you, but I love my body more now than I ever did. I did not. I always say, like, I did not appreciate those B cups.
100%. It's so
now my
true.
back hurts, and these are fine too. But I didn't appreciate. I didn't ever look at my body and go, yeah, that's all right. It was, what's wrong with it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I I've expressed to Erica too, like, God, I feel like I see you every 2 months. I'm just taking pictures all the time. We're just constantly having pictures. But we don't have that from when I was a kid. A bunch of family pictures. We don't have that. My kids are going to have that. And I remember specifically my mom not being comfortable with the way she looked and not wanting to be photographed.
Yeah.
And, you know, inherently, whether consciously or unconsciously, that's passed down. I don't want my kids to do that. To not, right now, Charlie's 4. She thinks she looks amazing all the time.
She does.
So does Jimmy.
So does Jimmy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if she thinks I'm holding my phone and she thinks there's a picture about to be taken, she just cheeses it up. And there's not,
strikes a pose.
we should all be like 4-year-olds and not have any part of us going like, oh, what if I look stupid? What if this is not a good angle for me? Or
Yeah. And it breaks my heart to hear you say that, because like my grandma, my mem, was the opposite. She took pictures of everything. And I think about now how we joke about how boomers, you know, the older generation, where they'll say, oh, those kids, all they do is take selfies all the time. But like, that is what I grew up with. Like my grandma was, okay, I can remember every time that a maple tree changed seasons, Mim was like, before we get ready to leave, I mean, we went there every Sunday. Every Sunday, go stand in front of the maple tree. Well, I don't think the leaves changed that drastically from one Sunday to the next, but by God, we're standing up there posing. And then the number of pictures that she's like, well, now climb up the tree and I'll get a picture of you in the tree. So we have millions. Her house is filled with all these pictures, but that was a thing for us cousins. Like we would all sit there on Sunday dinners and go through those photo albums. And I can tell you this without a single doubt in my mind. When her and my papa passed, there was not a single thing in that house that I cared about. And my sister and my brother will tell you the exact same thing. Those photos are the only thing we care about. So when families sit here and fight over like, I want the lamp, I want the car, I want this, I want that. I don't understand that. Like, so what you do is more than just take pictures, you know, and I can see that, and I value that. And I think that that's something that many families maybe didn't have and didn't experience. So sometimes they are like, well, we'll just do the once a year. We'll just do maybe for Christmas pictures, and that's about it. Or even that. Some families don't even do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the past year, my husband and I were talking about this the other day. In the past year, maybe 2 years, I've taken baby. I've taken last family pictures where I knew it was last family pictures. Mm-hmm. I've taken engagement. Like the whole gamut. And you're right. Like I've done it all, and it's crazy. I never thought that I would be the kind of photographer that would take the last picture, take the family pictures knowing, but to be able to capture that and give that family, you know, those last pictures was, the first time I did it, I cried the whole way home. I didn't know any of these people. Yeah. I didn't know one of them. And I sobbed the whole way home. I called my mom. She's like, what's the matter? And I'm like, I just can't. I can't imagine. And the fixer in me, there's nothing I could do, but I gave them something to hold on to and something to keep forever. And
that was the only thing you could control. You're like, this is the gift. Mm-hmm. This is what I can do. I can use my skills and my talents for the greater good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you think you're an empath?
No.
Why?
I don't know. I just don't. It's just what I do.
Mm-hmm. I think she is. I think she does.
Yeah, she does. She is. You pick up on people's energy.
You do.
Quicker than the average human.
And Erica and I have been in crisis together.
The understatement of the year.
Yes. We've been in crisis together. And she and I are very similar in like, well, this is the shit we're dealing with. We're just going to handle it. And she has a it's so nice to be in the trenches and have someone else who's like, similar. Oh no, this is fine.
Yeah.
We're just going to make things happen. Mm-hmm. And it's good. But even if you're not an empath, people are like walking into the situation and she's going, oh no, this is the energy you get. We're going to do something different and it's going to be so fun.
So good. I promise.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope.
Well, and I do think that when it comes to those photo shoots of any kind, you can only control so much. think about the family pictures that we did that one Christmas, that it was like negative 20 degrees outside. And it was like, well, this is just, and I think it rained. Here we go. And
or the boudoir in the rain.
Yeah. Any normal person would have been like, nope, throwing in the towel. You're like, we're going to figure this all out.
We ruined a camera that day.
Did we?
We did.
Tell you what, it's living a yes life is great, but it's so much more fun when you have friends who also live a yes life.
Absolutely.
Really.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, so viewers and listeners that are sitting here being like, nope, never would do a boudoir. Why do you feel like they should even just be open to the conversation? How much could it change their life?
I don't think they understand how much it could change their life. I mean, you have women who beat themselves down every single day, and, well, like, let's just use me for an example. Like, am I a good mom? Am I a good wife? Miss Susie Homemaker is not my nickname. You know, there's so many things that I'm just not good at, and I'm not, and we beat ourselves up. I mean, like, it's just natural. It's natural to think that we're inferior in lots of situations. But if we give ourselves the opportunity to flourish and the opportunity to see ourselves in a different light or in someone else's eyes, I think that's the key, because you could talk to me all day long about how awesome you think I am or whatever, and I'll even be like, yeah, okay, she's on something real good. But I mean, until we can see it through somebody else's eyes, or, you know, it's hard to convince ourselves. So I think if you just give it a chance and come in with an open mind, that you'd be really surprised at the impact it could have on not only you, but your whole life, really.
I think that, like so many other things that require vulnerability, the payoff is so big. But you have to be willing to walk in and be vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk about this, my experience with both of you from the boudoir side of things. Like, when you called and were like, we need you to do this, being a yes person, and especially I will be a yes person for both of you. Yeah. You know, like, I know that I'm in good hands.
We're very persuasive.
You are. And I just thought, knowing the situation, that there was other people that were involved, and I felt like when I came into it, knock on wood, thank goodness, like, I don't have a lot of body issues. You know, there's definitely I feel like I've gone to this stage and I'm at the age where I accept a lot of things. So control is one thing, but I agree. I'm kind of like, this is who I am, you know? And not that we all have been in that boat. It's not like, you know, there hasn't been times over the years that you're like, oh, Jesus. But it is what it is, you know?
What is this role?
What is this? And where did you come from? Yeah. When did you decide to show up? You know, this is great.
When did I get my mom's knee?
It's so true. So we just think about all of these different things. And so many people just hate those parts of themselves to the point that it's life-changing, you know? One example I even think about is, like, growing up, it was always a thing that everyone always said stuff about my sister's arms. Jaylee's got nice arms. Jaylee's got the nicest arms. Jaylee's got the most muscular arms. Jaylee's arms are so nice. They're so muscular. Okay, and so in my head, I was like, well, shit, do I have ugly arms?
Right.
You know?
Sure.
And so there's just little things like that to become little voices in your head. And I feel like in a lot of ways, I show up to that event that I was like, I'm just here to be a cheerleader. Like, whatever you need me to do,
I'll do it.
I will do it, you know, build up that portfolio and get these other people to kind of like
Just
open
don't
up a
show
little
my
bit.
face.
Yeah.
Whatever you do.
Whatever you do, not the face. And I had that same moment. Like, it's not that I didn't care what the photos looked like, but I didn't go into it with expectations. I didn't think to myself like, oh, because I wasn't doing it for anybody. I wasn't doing it for a partner. I wasn't doing it for a spouse. Nobody. There was nobody.
You're doing it for us.
Yes,
Don't worry.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so I thought to myself, like, I think I said that to you, like, I thought it was so funny seeing myself, and I was like, my God.
Is that what my legs look
My
like?
legs look like.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. Erica
I
was
remember
taking-
the picture.
Yeah, Erica was taking pictures with her camera, and I snapped one on my phone. And I was like, can you just come over here and look at how hot you are for a second? She's like, are those my legs? Well, they're not fucking my legs.
I know. And then I just joke, I'm like, I think about that where people will say things like, oh, you got legs for days if I'm in a dress or something like that. I'm like,
Do I?
thank you. I mean, I'm
just
not
walk
that
on these
tall. I
things.
just walk on them. I'm 5'7". It's not like I'm super tall.
Yeah.
But it is. You all of a sudden, it's like you said, Erica, you see a different side of you. And I was like, well, dang, I am kind of cute.
That's kind of sexy.
Yes, and so I just saw such a huge transformation at that event where all of these people are saying, not me, never me, will not, cannot, to the point that sometimes people make it to be almost a physical thing. Like they are so distraught about it that they physically are like, oh my God, I could be ill at the thought of doing something. But we saw so many different shapes, so many bodies,
Ages. I think our
ages.
youngest was 22
Yes.
being photographed, and then the oldest woman was in her 50s or 60s.
Yes, exactly. And every stage of life, married, not married, divorced, all these different stages. So I think that this is a really huge thing to think about, that there is so many reasons why people do it. And sometimes you don't know the reason until after it has happened. And that's where I was. Yeah. Yeah.
And so true with so many things in life. If you're open to the experience, you don't know what's going to come of it. And you might not know for a while, but you just have to be open to having it and then receiving whatever comes in after.
And it's not always sexual. I think that was another thing is that you
No,
pointed
not at
out.
all.
Exactly. That it's not, people just assume, I'm going to say it, like people just assume that it's porn. I think that's their vision. Like they have no experience. They have no idea. And so then when you walk in and you realize that like somebody can feel sexy and comfortable in a satin robe. Somebody can be in a dress and feel sexy. Like there is so much depth to this that it's not all nude and it's not at all the way people envision. It's that you are trying to make them feel like the best version of themselves.
We saw after that first event that we did, the outdoor event, all 5 of those girls changed their profile pictures on Facebook to one of the shots that Erica had taken of just their head. That's not about sex. That's because they felt beautiful in that picture.
So let me ask you this, Erica. You do this for other people. Like that is what you do. You make people smile. But at the end of the day, is there stuff that you are like, man, this is what really does it for me? Like, is there things that you still put into practice so that you can feel happy? Because
Like self-care.
self-care.
What do you do for self-care?
Loaded question. Let's be real for a minute.
Please.
Like, I don't do self-care. Like, I don't, like, you sent me that thing that you wanted me to fill out, and I looked at it, and I'm like, favorite podcast? Well, obviously left at the door, this one. But I don't listen to podcasts. I don't read self-help books. I don't, because it overwhelms me, and it consumes me, and then my control freakness comes out. So I spend my time making everybody else's life better. And if I can do that, like the buying people's McDonald's, like they made my day better because I made their day better. You know what I mean? So like, that's just how I function.
You're an
It's
active
just-
service type person. Like that's your love language.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So I don't know that that's a good answer. But
No, it's everything
it's
is a good
just
answer.
reality.
It's the honest truth. I mean, I joke about working. It's no different. I mean, I know that I'm helping other people when I'm doing it. So it's no different than that as well.
You mentioned earlier some situations that you don't have control over, people's health and things like that. How do you stay connected to people in that situation without sort of losing yourself because it's against your nature, being someone who wants to fix and this not being a situation you can fix?
To answer your question, bless my dear friend Jamie. Her mom just recently got diagnosed with cancer, and I have been all over her. Like day one, I was like, for the record, you're going to have to say back off. Because I can't fix it. And so I just feel like, can I buy you lunch? Can I?
I'm gonna smother you with love.
I'm she's smothered.
Yes.
I'm surprised she's still breathing. So if I can't fix something, I find other ways to make it better. I mean, if you will. I can't make it better. There's nothing I can do to make it better, but I can try.
Part of me feels like this is really good for viewers and listeners who are saying, I have all these things, these pieces in my life that I can't fix and that I can't control. And sometimes I think people just get real, I don't know, down in the dumps, and it consumes them. And what you're really showing people is that there is a way out and around it. It doesn't go away. It's not going to fix things, but at least there's something to do to where you feel like you're trying to make it better. You can't fix it, but you're making it better. And maybe that is what people need, is that if you can't fix it, what can you do that isn't negative, that isn't sad, or that isn't bad? Is there something that can be done? You know? And sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees. I guarantee there's people that are listening that are like, I guess I didn't even think about that, you know, because you're too close to the situation.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. And that probably makes a huge difference as well when it comes to helping somebody else, or even just having the conversation and saying, what can I help you with? What can I get? And usually we know that people are going to say no. People are going to be like, I don't need anything. I'm good. I'm fine. But how many people turn you down when it comes to stuff like that? You know, they don't. If you buy them a cup of coffee, if you show up and you're like, let's go to lunch or whatever, it feels good. Everybody does. We need to take care of each other. I think we've learned that.
I think the pandemic did a really good job at bringing that more to light for a lot of people. And maybe I'm just seeing that from my side of it. But like Kendry and I one night, I mean, with the pandemic and you're stuck in your house and like you go to work and you come home, like the kids don't get to see their friends and they don't, you know, they're doing school from home, and it's bad. Like there's nothing good about it. And one night I got this wild hair and I said, it was like 10:30 at night. I go, Kendry, do you want to go chalk the school? Yeah, can we do that? I'm like, yeah, we can. So we get to the school and we're wearing like headlamps, you know, so that we don't get in trouble. And then the cop drives by and we get in trouble. But, you know, it's beside the point. So we're chalking by every entry door and we're writing big things. We miss you. We love you. Thank you. You rock. You're awesome. You know, all these things. And then the next day you see this poster in the school. We miss you too. We love you too. And there's not much we can control during a pandemic. You can't do much. You can't go visit people. You can't make sure people are okay. And so we found ways to make sure people were okay. Talking, we did like pinwheels. We'd put pinwheels in people's yards with, you know, little sayings on it. You just have to readjust. You have to find different ways. You have to pivot. You have to
get creative about connection.
Creative, yeah. I mean, if we've learned anything with this pandemic and life, is that people are important. Like, you know, we have to make a better effort. Like at the end of the day, if we don't have the people that are beside us, then what do we have? Who cares what kind of car you drive? Who cares what kind of house you have? Like, if we don't have each other, we don't have anybody to share it with.
Yeah, it's so true. And more people, I think it opened their eyes to realize how, like, in a way, we are still so disconnected. We can have phones, we can have all of the technology in the world, but so many people are so disconnected from friends, family, coworkers, and that was a huge eye-opener.
Absolutely.
You know, that people that you just, I don't know, I guess in a way, it is too bad that it took something like that, or that it does take somebody hitting rock bottom, or something like a life-altering, you know, medical disease or illness to really change things up. But sometimes I guess it gives us the opportunity to see the good in it as well. Yeah.
I feel bad for people who had big milestone birthdays in 2020 because, so Maggie turned 30 in 2020 and we were going to go to the Hella Mega Tour. That
would be a good sister
yes,
thing to do.
Weezer was gonna be there. Oh, so since we couldn't do that because everything was canceled, Dylan and I both went out to see her in New Jersey. Maggie's my sister, Dylan's my brother. Okay, and it was the first time that all three of us had been together with my mom in years. I didn't have my husband and kids with me. Dylan didn't have his girlfriend. It was just the three of us as siblings spending time together. And that would never have happened if it wasn't for COVID.
Right.
So if people really look, they're going to find all kinds of things like that are such gifts because of us having to pivot and do things differently.
Absolutely.
Erica, I know you talked about not really mastering leaving control at the door, but how has your life changed since you at least said, hey, you're going to stay at the door. I know sometimes you're going to maybe come through and slip in, but for the most part, I'm going to try to leave you at the door. How has your life changed by doing so?
So I think that making a better effort at leaving control at the door has really had a positive impact, not only on me, but also on my children. We make a better effort at doing things together and focusing our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions and our time on things that matter and things that are important. So losing control a little bit is proving to be beneficial for me and my whole family. So
It's like living intentionally.
absolutely.
It really is. Well, if you want to know more information on how you can live intentionally or talk to us on social media about how you have left control at the door, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. And of course, you can listen to the podcast or the vlog. You can find us on YouTube. And this has been another episode of Left at the Door.
Left at the Door wants to thank Main Place Real Estate. This episode was recorded in their gorgeous new office space that's located on the 7th floor at 101 South Main Street in downtown Decatur, Illinois. Main Place Real Estate and its team of brokers exists to help people through the complex, emotional, and financially challenging real estate transactions. They're a team of professionals that understand the knowledge and the passion and the experience to make real estate transactions an incredibly easy experience for all of their clients. They have access to really important data, and then they understand that data and use it to serve the unique best interests of both buyers and sellers. They are a team of brokers that have served Central Illinois market, including Decatur, Forsyth, Mount Zion, and surrounding Macon County areas. When it comes to real estate, the best choice, it's Main Place Real Estate. They're available to help you find your place.